All right, all right, all right. Let's have another stream. What do you say? Happy Tuesday. Actually, it's Wednesday by now. It's late. It was a late stream. How y'all doing? We're just gonna continue where we left off last night. Play some Elden Ring and watch some podcasts. We were learning about steakhouses. And we were exploring the consecrated snowfield. Sorry about that. So let's see where we were at. All right. So yeah, I think we left off at we left off at the Zamor ruins because we were doing the farming run. I'd like to start off the stream with a little bit of farming. Exercise those muscles. And one thing we discovered last night is that it's a good idea to delay the game and the audio and the video of the game so that I'm reacting to it in real time, because before there was a massive delay. Let's see if that's working. I'm summoning my horse now. I'll go back and check that. Let's put on a podcast. Specifically, this podcast. Oh, that's too big? Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
It was fine. I mean,
There we go.
My guess is that substance was so high fat and so high salt that like nothing could live in there.
Yuck. Yuck.
And let's make room for the possibility that your mom's memory might not be totally correct. We might be slandering a business.
No, yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe that was a single serving of cheese for each
believe
table.
it happened, and I'm sure it was fine. But also, I'm glad that now they give you an individual plastic cup of the cheese spread.
But crock, visually, that would be nice. We did not go to places like that when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we went to.
All right. I went back and checked, and that is that was pretty much properly synced. So you'll get real-time reactions for a change, at least for the game, not for the rest of the stuff happening, like the podcast. I'm definitely going to be experiencing that a couple seconds in the past, but no big deal. Yeah, so let's just finish this farming run, listen to some podcasts, and then we'll decide what to do from there. I'm feeling like maybe exploring more of Napron, the underground city. That place was cool, even though I was over-leveled for it.
We went to places, places that were designed to be the cheap chain version of that kind of restaurant.
Like Longhorn?
Ponderosa was the one that we always went to.
Was that a buffet?
Yeah, I did have a buffet. Mm-hmm. Oh, the steak buffet. Oh,
is that like, what was
that yeasty rolls? They have these delicious yeasty rolls.
Golden Corral.
Golden Corral is another place like that, yeah.
And the frozen yogurt machine.
Oh,
with all the
a
toppings.
Thing that extruded soft serve frozen yogurt. You could put toppings on it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think those kinds of chain restaurants were meant to be kind of democratizing versions of the sort of mid-market steakhouse that we went to at Ye Olde. And then there's the hot upper market.
Which is like the place in Macon, Downtown Grill.
I wouldn't. They might aspire to that kind.
Well, I mean,
lovely place, Downtown Grill in Macon.
It was white tablecloths.
Yeah.
You know, white cloth napkins, dim lighting. It all felt very rich and like it was trying to be the 21 Club.
Yeah.
Like it wanted to be the 21 Club, which is a famous New York.
Yeah. It was aspiring toward that.
It was known for being a place where you walked through the bar to get to the restaurant and people could still smoke cigars.
Yeah, you choke through your cigar smoke on the way in. Yeah, you had a gauntlet to pass. But there was something charmingly old school about that, as was the case with the food. We would go back there again for sure. But when I think of really, really expensive steakhouses now, what I think are kind of two different strains. There's the foodie strain, which is, I don't even need to say any more than that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then there's the
Probably Edison bulbs hanging over the table.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. and they're going to tell you about exactly what microbiota they use in their dry
they'll be
age
like,
room.
your steak today is named Charles,
That's
and
right.
he lived his life on a farm in Hudson.
Yes, exactly. Anyways, so, and then on the other side, there's the I guess it's like the red state version of that, or the one that's like Capital Grill, which is a chain of places of very high-end steakhouses where they always build them in like state capitals.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's one right off the Capitol, near the Capitol building in Indianapolis, that I always thought was very fancy.
Well, St. Elmo's.
And there's St. Elmo's St. Elmo's in Indianapolis, where Mike Tyson infamously.
Sure. If you watched Parks and Rec, Ron Swanson talked about St. Elmo's.
Oh, they didn't name it as such, but it was clearly inspired by St. Elmo's.
No, that was a different place.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay. In Parks and Rec, Ron Swanson wants to go to the one steakhouse that he gets there and it's been closed by the health department.
Yeah.
And not to say that Ye Old Steakhouse has any health, it's not. But I think Ye Old Steakhouse is more like that place.
Oh.
And then later he goes to St. Elmo's. That is like
sure, okay.
peak fancy.
Well, here's the thing. I guess what I'm talking about is Ron Swanson fancy.
Yeah.
Right? It's you could actually maybe put Ruth's Chris into that category. It's not affordable. The places that are very much about like the leather and the whiskey and the cigars.
Yeah, they're gonna give you your scotch with your.
The place where like power players or like dudes who fancy themselves power players.
Well, those are the places that sort of stopped advancing in 1995.
Huh.
To me.
Okay.
Like they hit their peak in 1995.
Yeah.
When like men in suits were still making every single decision.
yeah. Good.
Now they're just making most of them.
Wow, that was such spot on analysis. Thank you, honey. That was great. I think you really broke new ground there.
Sure.
Wow.
My cultural breakdown of the steakhouse.
Yeah.
I will say about St. Elmo's and Ye Old Steakhouse, both famously had Peyton Manning as a frequent guest, because Peyton Manning, when he played at UT, would go to Ye Old, and the Manning family.
Yeah, and his signed portrait was above our heads as we dined.
And then also he would famously go to St. Elmo's in Indianapolis when he played for the Colts.
Right.
Peyton likes a good steak, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that reminds me, because there's the sort of within that subcategory of Ron Swanson fancy steakhouses, there's like the Ron Swanson fancy steakhouse that is owned by a former athlete. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And gosh, I remember when I was working at Mercer, my colleagues and I we were doing a conference to recruit students somewhere in Florida. I was in Orlando, and we had been like working all day, like just shilling our program and trying to get students to come to our school. And we were just exhausted and completely starved at the end of the day. There was no food anywhere. We didn't have like a car. You can't get anywhere without a car in Orlando. And so we were this is like
that
a
we can do a little bit better than that.
Let's go to like
If
the
we go a
restaurant
second
that's
time.
here. And so we like walk into this restaurant. It was a steak restaurant owned by like some I looked him up, some 1980s NFL player. And we all sat down, and I said to my boss at the time, I said, "Hey, you think we should really be eating here? It's going to be expensive." He was like, "Oh, God, it's fine." And then we looked inside the menus, and like the steaks were like $300, and then we were just like, we had to stand up and just do our walk of shame, and right back out again. They'd clearly seen it before. No one said anything. They all, because we bore our shame with dignity. I think they showed us respect by allowing us to just walk out there without any further acknowledgement or conversation.
No.
I'll always be grateful to them for that. And I'll be grateful to you for having listened to this entire episode of the Adam Ragusea podcast. I think that this was a lot of fun, and I kind of feel like we should do more episodes like this. Like,
I guess there
anytime
wasn't
we
that much
eat
left in that
anywhere
episode.
remarkable, the two of
Okay.
us, I think that we should do a review. Do we need like a rating system?
No.
No? Okay.
I think it should just be, do we recommend you eat there or not? I think Ye Old Steakhouse is worth a visit.
Yes. Okay. We're not giving it a rating system, but, you know, you might, since we both like it, you might say it has 2 thumbs up. I hope that eye roll registers in audio as well as it did in video.
The silence was loud.
Oh, deafening. I give it 6 swims.
Oh my god.
And so let's do this again sometime. I really enjoyed this.
Sure. I like eating meals with you.
Yeah.
Turns out.
That's fun. All right, let's go inside. Thanks very much. Talk to you next time.
Bye.
Make good choices. Like, oh, I can't reach.
Here, I'll help.
Ah, fade out, fade out.
That was a nice episode. Oh, finally. Alright. Allow me to select another episode. Yeah, alright, let's finish this stupid baking versus cooking episode. Maybe he's going somewhere with it.
Medium rare or rare. I like a blue steak every now and then. Usually when it's very high or course corrections. But with the cooking recipe, I can do all 12 course corrections in the same practice run. With a baking recipe, 12 course corrections means there will be 12 different cakes in my house that day, and most of them will be bad. Certainly we encounter points of no return in our cooking as well as our baking, but far more of them in baking. Here's another thing that makes baking harder. Success is often a little less subjective in baking. Like if I'm cooking a steak, I might cook it rare, I might cook it medium well, and in either case I could pass off the result as being intentional, because lots of people like their steak on either end of that spectrum and everywhere in between. And I genuinely like steak at different levels of doneness. Maybe not medium well, but medium rare, or rare. I like a blue steak every now and then, usually when it's very high quality but very lean beef. If you cook it blue and slice it really thin, it's like beef tataki. Blue means totally raw on the inside, right? In contrast, there's almost no one who likes bread that doesn't rise. I mean, unleavened bread is a thing. It's God's chosen bread. And crackers exist, but those are different dough recipes. If you make like a normal yeast dough recipe and it doesn't rise in the oven, the result is something that nobody likes. I have a video of a pizza dough set of experiments that I did a while back, and one thing that I tried was leaving out the yeast entirely and seeing if the steam in my very high hydration dough would inflate the dough at least a little in the oven, and it did not. The result tasted like wet cardboard. There are more cases of objective failure in the baking world. We get those sometimes in the cooking world, usually when we massively overcook something, or when we break an emulsion for a sauce or something, but other than those cases, food is generally pretty easy to cook, especially if you keep an open mind about what the final result is going to be. And you can make all kinds of mid-flight course corrections if you don't like how things are turning out. But in baking, the souffle either falls or it doesn't. And they have a tendency to fall, even when you do most things right, or even when you do all the things mostly right. The souffle still has a tendency to fall. Small margin for error in a souffle. Did the layers inside the croissants separate and puff up in the oven, or did they all stick together? If you let your dough get too warm, the layers will melt together and then the dough won't rise at all in the oven. That is a case of clear, catastrophic, objective failure. And it's a very real possibility, as anyone who's ever worked with laminated doughs in a warm climate can tell you. So in that sense, I think it's fair to say that baking is harder than cooking in the same way that math class is harder than art class. I think it's fair to say that baking is harder than cooking in the same way that math class is harder than art class. Creative art class. If it's like a technical drawing class, then it's on equal footing with math class vis-a-vis this particular comparison that I am drawing. In technical drawing, you either get a straight edge or you don't. You either get a perfect circle of the correct diameter within a certain reasonable range of possibility, or you don't. It's the same way you either solve for x correctly in the equation, or you don't. But if instead of technical drawing, it's a creative art class, it can be a little harder to say whether you have succeeded or failed in painting that feeling that you get when you smell your grandmother's cake baking. I mean, art teachers have all kinds of metrics they can assess in assigning a grade: originality, color choice, mastery of technique, diversity of techniques, sloppiness, etc. But each of those is a big judgment call, with the possible exception of technique mastery, because you could definitely objectively fail at doing pointillism or photorealism or all kinds of things. I don't really know art, sorry. I'm just the son of an art teacher. I think it's fair to say that art teachers have to make more debatable judgment calls when grading than math teachers do. Both have to make judgment calls, and both deal in some objective cases of success or failure, but the mix is really different when grading abstract sculptures versus trig tests. Does that mean art is easier than math? Well, you're more likely to get an A in art than you are in math, right? That might not be true in every educational system around the world, but it's generally true in contemporary Western schools that it's easier for most people to get an A in art than in math. That would indicate that art class is easier than math class. But is actually doing art easier than actually doing math? What if the context is not the classroom, but the free market? I think it's probably way harder to make a living as a creative artist than it is to be a professional math doer, an accountant, a bookkeeper, a data scientist. There's lots of really good math jobs out there, fewer good fine art jobs. The free market would suggest that art is much more difficult, given how few people are able to make a living with it.
Damn. That sucks. I think we're pretty close to our next level. It's a problem how artists can't make a living, especially because there's not enough art in the world right now. Although the internet has made it possible for a lot of people to distribute their art. Like in the past, if you wanted art, you had to get an original, but now we have prints and digitally disseminated prints. But I would agree it's easier to be in STEM in terms of surviving capitalism. I'd like more government art programs. That'd be nice. Phallus. My character's name is Phallus. Okay, we need 362,000. We can do that. I definitely don't want to lose the ones I have. Yeah, that's like two more runs. Nice.
Painting something that satisfies your teacher's assignment is one thing. Painting something that moves millions of people is an entirely different thing. I consoled myself with that knowledge somewhat back when I was on faculty at Mercer University's Center for Collaborative Journalism. I taught there full-time for 5.5 years, and I never developed what I felt was a coherent, consistent, practicable philosophy of grading. Grading just made no sense to me. I mean, sometimes grading made sense to me. I taught lots of technical skills in my classes. It was usually pretty clear-cut whether you recorded the interview with the mic right up to the source's mouth, or if you recorded it from your hand draping lazily down by your side. It was pretty clear-cut whether you followed the rule of thirds on that photo, or whether you were able to create shallow depth of field, etc. I never felt weird about grading that kind of stuff. Those tests were always my favorite to grade, because I knew what I had to do, even if I didn't like doing it. I did not like giving bad grades, almost ever. But when we got past the basic skills stuff, I found it absurdly difficult to assign a grade that I could truly justify to myself. I could grade well enough to satisfy my dean, but not myself. It always felt inescapably arbitrary to me, assigning a grade based on how good a student news article was. Sure, I could devise a rubric, as they love to say in faculty meetings. Did the student journalist find an interesting person to interview? That's a yes or no question on a rubric, but how do you define interesting? Did the student reporter pull a compelling quote from the person that they interviewed? Yes or no, but what mean compelling, Rambo? Grading rubrics in the arts and humanities often look very rational and systematic and mathematic, but each metric is, at the root of it, a subjective judgment call on the part of the grader. My old public radio associate, Mike Pesca, who has a famous podcast now called The Gist, Pesca has a great analogy for that kind of rubric. He says that it's like the signal poles in American football. In American football, the offensive team is always trying to advance the ball forward at least 10 yards at a time. They have 4 plays called downs in which to get the ball to the next 10-yard section of the field. And if they can't get it there in 4 downs, they have to forfeit the ball to the other team. If you do make it to the next 10-yard section of the field, you have achieved a first down, and you have 3 more to make it to the next 10-yard section. How do the game officials know if you've made the first down? Well, they have a 10-yard chain with bright orange rods on either end. The first guy in the chain crew stakes his rod where the ball started. The other guy walks in a straight line until the chain is taut, and he stakes his rod, and they see where the ball ended up in relation to that second rod. It all looks very scientific and objective, but it's actually an objective construct built upon a subjective foundation. That being, where exactly does the first guy stake his little pole? If he puts it in the wrong spot, the whole measurement is wrong, even if they stretch out the chain perfectly straight and true. And where does the guy stake the pole in relation to the ball? Like, right along the middle of the ball? Or along the tip of the ball? Which tip? I'm sure the NFL has rules about that, but I'm also sure those rules...
All right, we are so close to the next level that I think we should just get back to free worlding and let the level come when it comes, because we're only 5,000 away. Or alternatively, I could go kill some of those birds. Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Rules leave at least some room for interpretation about where exactly you should put that rod. Every grading rubric I ever wrote for a creative assignment felt, at least partially, and sometimes substantially.
Oh. They're only worth 600 and something. That's not very much. I need 7,000 more souls. Alright, I'll just kill one more of those guys. Nah. Nah, never mind. I want to go back to the consecrated snowfield. We'll just level up when we level up.
Fraudulent to me. The rubric felt like a CYA policy, cover your ass. College students and or their parents feel very empowered nowadays to challenge grades, bad grades. They can make a lot of headaches for you, these folks. If you're on the faculty, if they fill out a form challenging the grade, then you have to fill out a form defending the grade. There might be a hearing. The dean or the faculty senate ultimately makes the call, and even if they rule in your favor, the administration is going to start looking askance at you if your grade...
Wow, these tiny crabs are worth 500 runes each. It's kind of a lot for a nothing enemy. Could actually farm those. Oh, hello. Big crab. Big crab with golden eyes. No, wait, I don't want to fall asleep. That was too close. Too close to falling asleep. What happens when you fall asleep? I don't know if I've ever actually been put to sleep. Do you just lay there and take it till you die? That would suck.
Keep getting challenged. They may deny it, perhaps earnestly, but the unspoken pressure to avoid grade challenges is unavoidable in any school. It's just a fact of life. If a student challenges one of your grades, it really helps to have documentation of your decision-making process, and that's what rubrics are. Rubrics are also things that you can put in your syllabi so that you can say that you fully informed your students of the standards that you'd expect from them, assuming they read the syllabus. And all of that is great, but the rubrics are still fundamentally fraudulent, in my view. They're built on subjective foundations when it comes to creative work, among other human endeavors. Even if I gave a really clear-cut assignment, like write an article in inverted pyramid format to prove that you understand what inverted pyramid is, even if I gave an assignment clear-cut like that, grading was still super subjective. Inverted pyramid format means that you don't tell people what happened in chronological order. That would be a story, which you do in a feature. Rather, in inverted pyramid, you list facts about what happened in descending order of importance. Whatever the most important fact in a story is, you write that at the very beginning. Then you write down the second most important fact, and the third, etc. Sounds cut and dry, but who's to say which part of the news is most important? Like, I know what's most important to me, but I'm a guy with my own inescapable point of view, and it would be foolish of me to assume that my point of view is the correct universal view simply because I'm the professor. Being the professor doesn't mean I'm right, it just means that I have power. Maybe a detail in a news story that seems trivial to me is like the most interesting thing to my 18-year-old student. Therefore, I'm not sure I can say for certain whether they successfully wrote an inverted pyramid piece. Some professors would say, the cool professors, they would say, well, if you can make a coherent argument as to why the story should lead with this fact and not that fact, then sure, you still get an A. But it's the professor who judges which arguments are coherent. It's all arbitrary. And I did not feel comfortable wielding the awesome power of bad grades on such flimsy pretense. Was that my honor and sense of justice? Or was it just that I was afraid of dealing with grade challenges? Probably a little of both columns there. But the best solution I could come up with was I became a real easy grader in the more advanced classes, where students worked primarily on creative projects. Did you make the thing that I basically asked you to make on time? Great, you get an A. It's really not my place anymore to judge your work beyond that. I think lots of faculty in the arts and humanities come to similar conclusions about grading, even if they won't admit it to their dean. The humanities professors I knew who were notoriously hard graders mostly just seemed like jerks to me back when I taught for a living and I was around those people. The hard graders either liked giving bad grades
That was something. I actually had stuff to say, but I was muted the whole time. Yeah, that guy is tough. I did not have the correct talismans equipped, so I'm just gonna real quickly get the fire resistance talisman and what's this? Physical damage negation. Okay. Yeah, let's go with that. Alright, let's try that again. Who is he attacking right now? Huh. Interesting. Well, I did not do very much damage to him. Oh, that was surprisingly easy. Oh, he's so gorgeous. I love the scales. Alright, I just need a lot of empowered attacks, because those definitely... Oh, that hurt. Those do chunks. Oh, what? You can do a 180 spin. That's dangerous. He's charging. That hurts. Okay. Staying calm. Let's go in for the attack. I always forget that light attacks are generally better against bigger enemies, because you can pepper them in a bit more easily. Oh, come on. That balloon doesn't burn you, it slows you. It's rough terrain. It's hard to get out of. It's sticky. Makes sense. He's a magma worm. Where's that worm? I don't know. Anyway, let's try that again.
It's a little bit too much, and so they went out of their way to do it. Or they seemed to have not sufficiently scrutinized whether the right answer really is the one right answer. Most times, I'm really not sure what the right answer is. I have my right answer, some of the time, but rarely am I certain it's the only right answer. And even if it's something really basic, like, did you remember the names and dates of the 5 Impressionist painters we discussed? Well, who's to say that those 5 painters are the ones that every student in a basic art history class should remember? One reason that I quit music school as a graduate student was I lost confidence in the ability of my professors to lead me to the important music. I thought the music that they were advancing as basic core literature that every student must study, I thought that a lot of that music just wasn't very interesting or important to me. And it didn't seem to be interesting or important to anybody else other than composition faculty. Yes, every field has its esoterica, but that doesn't mean the luminaries in every field are infallible in how they select their esoterica. Sometimes it's just random groupthink that positions a piece of art in the canon. Sometimes it's unearned privilege that positions a piece of art in the canon. Maybe there is no canon, and we should stop trying to make canon happen. Everyone has their own canon, their own corpus of creative work they value above others. And the job of university faculty is to help students form their own canon, not to passively accept the canon handed down by their mostly white upper-class faculty. I think my imposter syndrome really served me well when I taught journalism for a living. It kept me humble. I really did not enjoy wielding power over the lives of vulnerable young people, and all young people are vulnerable to one degree or another. I felt comfortable telling my students what's super interesting to me. I felt comfortable telling them why I love this writer or why I hate this photographer, etc. I could easily prepare lectures like that, and everybody seemed to love them. But when I had to turn around and demand that students learn this and not that, and learn to do it this way and not that way, I really felt that I had little, if any, standing. And that really undermines the basic model of school as we know it. I took solace in knowing that even if I contributed to grade inflation, even if I gave a terrible student reporter an A, they still would never be able to hack it in the workplace, and that's where it really matters, right? Or maybe the student is like a late bloomer, and they're gonna turn it around and kick ass in the real world. I've seen that happen more than once. I was not a particularly good student myself. As faculty, I figured, students will rise and fall as they will in the real world. They'll end up eventually wherever they belong in our society and in our economy. It's not my place to keep them from trying. It's my place to set them up for success as best I can, and to protect the value of my institution's imprimatur by not helping to grant degrees to students who are, facially unprepared. But if students showed up and did the thing, usually gave them an A. And while I suspect my journalism classes were generally easier to pass than engineering classes, I will say that I had more than a few engineering majors take my classes, and when I told them that they had to go out and interview a stranger on the street, or call a stranger on the phone and ask permission to record an interview, they completely melted down. I remember I had one computer science kid tell me, I'd rather take the F than walk up to a stranger on the street and ask them for an interview. Fair enough, I guess. It's your nickel. I get paid either way. But if my students showed up and did the thing, I usually gave them an A in journalism class, even if I had doubts about their ability to do journalism in the real world. Let the free market sort out the rest, I figured. And I knew at the time that was naive thinking. I just couldn't come up with anything better.
That message on the ground said, could this be a friend? Therefore, try luring out. And I think they might have been onto something, because this magma worm likes to attack that land octopus. So let's use that land octopus as a distraction. Oh, hello. There's a cavern there. Alright, attack the land octopus. Nice! I was blocking. That's bullshit. I gotta learn his moveset. I fought them before. I think there's only like 70 something unique enemies in this game. I feel like there should be more. Maybe I'm just recalling it wrong. Uh-oh. That was cool. Nice. Lots of damage. The land octopus is actually doing something. It's pretty cool. Don't go near that. When he's in rampage mode, it's like he's dangerous from every angle. I definitely don't want to get caught in the magma again. I don't want to be here. Alright. That's some good damage. Oh no! He's standing up now. That's his second phase. Makes him quite a bit more difficult to hit. Yeah, I love that the land octopus is fighting the worm. Ow. Yeah, attack that land octopus. Oh, wow. It worked again. I gotta get in there. I can't get in there. That sucks. The land octopus has a lot of health. Oh, wow. This is entertaining. Land octopus is actually doing a lot of damage to him. What's up with that? Oh, he's dead. No more friend. I should leave all of them alive. Oh, I could just hit his tail. I think that's how I got the last one. I should just do that. Ugh, wow. The splash damage is crazy. Glad it blocks that, and it could have killed me, possibly. Alright. We're getting there. Still have most of our flasks. What? It does so much damage. The splash damage alone did 60% of my health. That's okay. I just noticed how many souls I have. Almost 500,000. I should have spent them. Yeah, because I was like 7,000 away from leveling up, and I really should have just earned 7,000 and left, but too late now. That's a lot of souls on the line. Okay, so this time I'm going to leave everything alive because I want to see what else attacks him.
Can't. What's the best way to grade is a question without an answer. And it sure feels to me like such questions are harder than questions that do have an answer, elusive or unknowable as that answer may be. At least there's an answer out there somewhere. Those questions feel a lot easier to me than questions with no answer at all. And I kind of feel like, in a way, arts and humanities are more difficult than STEM subjects. Certainly, it's easier to skate by in humanities classes, that's definitely for sure. But there's more of a formula for success in engineering than there is in music. Lots of people know how to build a bridge that won't fall down. Absolutely no one knows how to write a hit song. There are people who know how to write something with a better than normal chance of becoming a hit song, but no one knows how to write a hit song. If they did, they'd be billionaires. some pedant is going to be like, well, Dr. Dre and Paul McCartney are billionaires, so now I have to say that I love Dre and Paul, but Dre is a billionaire headphone company entrepreneur, not a billionaire music producer. And if we are to believe that Paul knows how to write a hit song, well then how do we explain the lion's share of his solo material? Was he trying to write forgettable songs? I doubt it. Similarly, there are formulas you can follow for baking well. Baking is tricky. Lots of things can go objectively wrong. Margins for error are often very narrow. But perhaps precisely because all of those pitfalls, you can bake successfully without ever understanding why a cake bakes the way that it does. There are thorough, time-tested formulas you can simply follow, like a soldier carrying out orders, never thinking, never questioning. Just follow the recipe. Whereas cooking a perfect steak can be a lot trickier. First, you have to define perfect. And it depends not only on the diner's preferences, but also on the kind of meat you have, which qualities of that meat you want to highlight, etc. How hot should the pan be? No one can say for sure. Burners and pans vary so much, and the right temperature can depend on the exact thickness of the steak and all other kinds of things that recipes cannot account for. The recipe can tell you to cook it to X temperature for medium rare, but it takes a lot of experience and intuition to tell when a steak has reached your target temperature. Even if you use a thermometer, yes. Thermometers give you radically different readings depending on the exact position wherever you've stuck your steak. I push it a little further in, it goes up 10 degrees, which is the real reading. Even if you can perfectly identify center mass, do you really want to cook the steak based on how hot that one spot is getting? Maybe that's a small, thick spot, and most of the steak is thinner, so you'd do better to prioritize the thinner meat and just let that small, thick spot be really rare. So many judgment calls. And who's to say which choices are right? Which results are proper? The way to cook a proper steak is, well, just stop talking right there, cowboy, because there literally is no such thing. And yes, you could say all the same things about a loaf of bread. But we're talking about tendencies, not absolutes. Baking and cooking are clouds, not categories. Kind of like male and female, come to think of it. Clouds of characteristics orbiting around purely theoretical centers, not discrete categories. Marco Pierre White likes to say, cooking isn't about recipes. He says cooking is a philosophy. Unless it's pastry, then it's chemistry. Of course, all food preparation is chemistry, and there is philosophy behind every human endeavor. But I don't think Marco is saying that cooking is literally a kind of philosophy. He's saying that it's like philosophy in the sense that it's more debatable whether a philosophical work is good or bad. It's more debatable whether you're cooking that stew correctly than it is whether you're baking a cake that will rise in the oven and won't burn on the outside before it's done on the inside. And it's less debatable in chemistry whether you have devised the right chemical process or some such.
I think we might get him. All right, is that it? Did we get him? We did. Nice. Thank you, Land Octopus. You're my friend. And to thank you, I'm gonna kill you. Thank you. You're the best. So I guess the Great Worm, the Magma Worms count as dragons because I got a new Draconic Communion ability. That's nice. Come to think of it, there's a couple other dragons I need to kill. Alright, I need to level up. Oh my gosh, I'm almost at 2 levels now. Alright, what's back here? What is at the base of the waterfall? What was he protecting?
I mean, I'm sure it's still potentially debatable for sure which isomer of octane will perform best in this fuel system or whatever, but I think that's less debatable than who gets the criterion problem more wrong, the coherentists or the foundationalists? I have no idea if that was a coherent philosophical question that I just posed. I think it might have been word salad.
Oh, ancient dragon smithing stone. That's what he was guarding. Alright. That feels like a pretty good stopping point. I'm going to go back to the bonfire, level up, and take a quick break. Oh, I'm going to kill those crabs.
Then again, I think a lot of philosophical writing is word salad. Not as much of it is word salad as people think, but I reckon a lot of it tends toward word salad. A lot of musicology definitely tends toward word salad. Here's something I could say that will definitely piss off the philosophy department. When Marco says that cooking is a philosophy, baking is chemistry, another thing he means is that the most promising path to success in cooking is to feel out the situation and to use your senses and your intuition. The most promising path to success in baking is learn the formula, follow the rules. The philosophy department would hate that comparison because it makes it sound like philosophy is all about feelings, and indeed, the philosophical discipline is generally much more rigid and systematic and mathy than the popular imagination would imagine. I do wonder if all their systems are basically like the 10-yard chain with the 2 poles on either end, an objective structure built on a subjective foundation. But I don't know well enough to say. I did quite poorly in my philosophy gen ed, as I recall. Philosophy turned out to be far more rigid and systematized and mathy than I was expecting. Sure, a lot of undergraduates get the same rude awakening. And Marco Pierre White was not privileged enough to get to take a philosophy class, so let's check our own privilege before we snark at him for assuming that philosophy is more loosey-goosey than it actually is. I'm not here to say that cooking is harder than baking, or that arts and humanities are harder than STEM subjects.
Alright, I'm just going to dump a level into intelligence again, because I am planning on reallocating these points sometime. Alright, so close to the next level. 69? Nice. That's how many I need. 69,000. That's like 2 farming runs. That would only take 8 minutes. Okay, I'll do that when I get back. We are going to take a quick break. Play some music by the Fat Rat, and try to be back in, let's say, 15 minutes. So good. No, what's that doing there? Get out of here. All right, that's better. Music. Yes, that sounds like good music. I like that song. We're gonna listen to Origin. Oh, that's not the correct origin. That's fine. Whatever. All right, be right back.
Let's sing a song full of hope, full of pain. Why don't you sing along, my friend? For it's our last refrain. Forever young, ever strong, ever brave. Memories like this never end. No, they don't fade away. So when I'm gone, oh, when I'm gone, I'll be right there, close to the sun. Keep holding on, keep holding on. And I'll be right there, close to the sun, close to the sun. Close to the sun. Here's to the ones who let shine through the rain, the ones who stood for something more. We won't Greetings chosen, I've been waiting here for you since the beginning of this universe. You know the world is fading. There's a secret power hidden in your soul. Don't be afraid to use it. There are voices in your head saying that you're a failure. You're not good enough, but you know that's not the whole world at our feet, watching seasons change. Our roads were lined with adventure, mountains in the way couldn't keep us from the sea. Here we stand open arms. This is home where we are, ever strong in the world that we
Just a second. Plug in my keyboard.
I still hear you in the
That's the wrong
breeze, see your
connection.
shadows in the
Okay.
trees. Holding on, memories never change.
All right. Good songs. Good songs. Makes me want to get back into programming. I have not had the time recently, but I'm thinking about maybe doing that more tonight. I don't know. Let's do a little bit more of this podcast and exploring the consecrated snowfield. Or maybe Nokron. I don't know. Yeah, consecrated snowfield. Oh, we also have to maybe do a little bit of farming. Anyway, let's get back to it.
I really don't know the answer. But I thought about that question at you for about an hour, and that passes for success in my field. So mission accomplished! Yay me! Another W in the column.
That is exactly what he did. He thought about it at us. I don't think that was the best episode, actually. I'll let it
How
finish.
does he do it? All I do is win. Easy to do when you get to position the goalposts yourself. You know, the one thing that I failed to do this hour? I failed to develop any kind of coherent position on whether casseroles count as cooking or baking. I got nothing but questions there. Is a casserole a baked good or not? You tell me. Make good choices. I'll talk to you next time.
All right. That makes it a little bit easier. Gotcha. Yeah, that guy was hard.
Paradise in Bloomington. It's the Adam Ragusia podcast, episode 73. Why do all celebrities seem to own a restaurant? I mean, all or part of a restaurant? Why would celebrities do this to themselves? Because depending on which analysis you look at, something like 60% of independent restaurants, not national chains like McDonald's, but like normal independent restaurants, about 60% of them fail within their first 3 years. This is according to a 2005 study out of Ohio State that, despite its age and limits, remains probably the best word on this phenomenon in the United States. 60% of new restaurants fail. And the profit margins are horrible. For a full-service restaurant, the average profit is around 3 to 5%. That means for every dollar that you spend running your business, you get like 3 cents back in profit, because the food and the labor and the overhead costs in a restaurant are just enormous. There are industries out there with like 30, 40, 50% profit margins. Get into financial services, for God's sake, if you want cushy margins. The restaurant business is a terrible business by nearly any objective measure of dollar and cents. And yet, nearly every famous actor or musician you could think of owns at least part of at least some restaurant. Hankering for some good North African food in Beverly Hills? Well, who isn't? Try Tagine, co-owned by Ryan Gosling. Why? Why did he invest in a restaurant of all things? Didn't anybody tell him he's Kenough without that millstone hanging around his neck? Want some Korean barbecue in Lower Manhattan? Well, obviously, you'd want to check out Quentin Tarantino's Do Hua in the West Village. Oh, wait, you can't, because Do Hua closed in 2018, because that's what restaurants do. Restaurants close more often than they do anything else. At least Jay-Z was smart enough to know that the profit margin is at the bar, not in the kitchen, so he went for like a bar lounge concept called the 40/40 Club in the Flatiron District. Oh wait, that closed too, like a month ago. I guess he still has a second location. And when Jimmy Buffett died this past week, all the obits mentioned that he died a billionaire with a B. The list of musician billionaires is like Paul McCartney, Bono, Jay-Z, Jimmy Buffett. I guess now we can scratch Jimmy's name off that particular list now that he's gone from skin cancer, a more poetic demise for a beach bum having never been conceived. He died a billionaire. So Jimmy's restaurant empire must have been going gangbusters, right? For the non-parrot-headed among you, Jimmy Buffett was a boomer born in the tiny little strip of Mississippi that's actually on the ocean. Part of the greater Floribama region, you could say. Jimmy Buffett's combination of rural white people music, country music, and the sounds of the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. This was as marketable a combination as any that has ever existed in the music business.
Whoa, well, that's awesome. That wandering mausoleum has a cool defense mechanism. Well, hello. What do you have to say? Nothing? What's your deal? Well, strange. That's pretty awesome. I think we'll do that later.
Jimmy Buffett had the original snap track, y'all. He had that laid-back redneck Riviera vibe long before Kenny Chesney, or whoever's tapping that well these days. My dad says that one time when we were vacationing in Key West, as we often did when I was a kid because my dad loves Key West, my dad says that he walked by an establishment where Jimmy Buffett was playing, and he overheard Jimmy say into the mic, "Well, I guess you want to hear the damn song again." And the crowd roared as he launched into Margaritaville, a song about an alcoholic frittering away what remains of his life, money, and brain cells at some cheesy resort. Cheese doesn't really strike me as like...
Oh, I see room there. That could be fun. Rui souls we got. Okay. Oh, there's two. I don't want to fight two late game ruin bears. I definitely don't. Okay, I don't see anything over here. Let's try to lure one of them out. Actually, on second thought, I'm going to lure out the other one because this one is having a great time scratching that tree. And I don't think that he'll notice us if we're fighting the other rune bear over there. Love it, these crystal buds. Now we know where to get him if I need him. I don't craft very much in this game or any game. Alright, let's try killing this bear. So, well, just a fantastic opener from me. Just walking right into his claws. Okay, not doing great. Wow, he does a lot of damage. Good thing I know the moveset pretty well. Oh my god, so much health. Just an ungodly amount of health for a rune bear. I don't even think this is a mini-boss. I think this is just a really tough bear. Snowy bear.
Hot weather food? But when they opened a strike about an alcoholic frittering away what remains of his life, money, and brain cells at some cheesy resort. Cheese doesn't really strike me as like a hot weather food. But when they opened a cheeseburger in paradise bar and grill in the sprawl outside of Bloomington, Indiana, when Lauren and I used to live there, well, we just had to check it out. Cheese.
Oh, come on. How could I have missed that? That is embarrassing. Is this one of those enemies where the visceral attack is where you get most of your damage from? Maybe that is a good reason to use heavy attacks. Maybe jumping attacks is the way to go. Alright, I'm not going to miss it this time. Ah, nice. Okay, this is starting to feel kind of attainable, maybe? Oh, that's not good. Bear hug. Big bear hug. Okay, okay. We're good. We're good. Nice. 2 more of those and we might be good. Good to go. Oh, what? He could do that? Maybe I have seen that before. This is kind of fun. It's like same, but different. That's it. We got him. Now let's do that all again. 10,000 souls. Not bad.
Cheeseburger in Paradise is another of Jimmy Buffett's songs, and it was the basis of a restaurant chain. Lauren and I went some years ago. We had some totally forgettable sliders, as I...
What the hell is a rotted dog doing all the way out here? Kind of out of place. Is there a lore reason why he's here? Is he stupid? Alright, where's that other bear? Oh, I'm not allowed to have my horse? That's foreboding. Is this a boss arena? What's going on? Oh, damn. Time to die to this invader, I think. I don't like you. I don't like you at all. They just fling his blood at me. Those are some fast attacks. I never did PvP in these games. This is as close as I get. Nice, he only had one healing flask. Oh, that's not good. Okay. I thought I had him. I really thought I had him. Let's try that again. Hey, how come Hadam never makes any videos about sushi? That's like a very cool type of food. And I've never heard him talk about it. Like, even a little bit.
Recall while a white guy with an acoustic guitar sang Stevie Wonder's Superstition into a mic that had way too much bass on his voice. Side note, guys with acoustic guitars, just stop. Just stop. Stop it with your busking. Stop guilting your friend who works at a restaurant into talking to her boss about letting you play there Thursday night. Live music is not nearly as valuable or as desirable as it used to be. It used to be that if you wanted to hear some music while you ate, you needed a troupe of minstrels in the room. Not any longer. We have recorded music. It's less obtrusive and generally better than what you play. You are not playing for us, and you damn well know that. You're playing for yourself. This is about you and your music career. End quote. The rest of us in the room are just collateral damage. Take it somewhere else, for God's sake. I'm slightly more tolerant of nearly any music form other than a white guy with an acoustic guitar, just because it's so rare to encounter anything else in my ecosystem. But even if it's really, really good music,
that is so cool.
I'm eating, and I want to talk to my friend, okay? Shut off that damn racket. No one wants this except you. Pan flute guy. Playing pan flute karaoke with a CD of new age backing tracks on the boombox next to his tip jar. The other thing I remember about Cheeseburger in Paradise in Bloomington, Indiana was all of the marine-themed tchotchkes on the wall. I remember thinking,
I don't want to fuck with that
someone's
Rune Bear.
job to source that distressed buoy hanging over Lauren's head. And then, lo and behold, 15 years later, here in Tennessee, just the other day, I happened to meet the antique dealer whose job it was to source all of the tchotchkes that hang inside the Ruby Tuesday family restaurant chain, which is based here in Knoxville. And I was like, oh, I knew that had to be a real job. Anyway, we did not go back to Cheeseburger in Paradise in Bloomington. And I guess not many other people did either, because it closed in 2011. Or at least 2011 is when the Yelp reviews abruptly end. Quote, overall, it's alright, just know what you're getting yourself into. 3 stars for what it is. Probably 1.5 if you're looking for good food.
Rematch. This guy is so aggro. I'm playing real safe. Okay, that's his only healing potion, which is my only, like, consolation. Oh yeah, that's a lot of damage. Come on. Oh my god. Oh, come on. That's a cool set of weapons he has. Double daggers, extremely fast animation, and they can do range damage. Okay.
Here's another one.
I was out of it for a second,
Quote,
but I'm back.
The workers
Let's do
are
this.
called islanders, and I'm sure they are proud of that, as evidence Tuesday family restaurant chain, which is based here in Knoxville. And I was like, oh, I knew that had to be a real job. Anyway. We did not go back to Cheeseburger in Paradise in Bloomington. And I guess not many other people did either, because it closed in 2011. Or at least 2011 is when the Yelp reviews abruptly end. Quote, overall, it's alright, just know what you're getting yourself into. 3 stars for what it is. Probably 1.5 if you're looking for good food. Another one. Quote, the workers are called islanders, and I'm sure they are proud of that, as evidenced by their slow, unfriendly service. I would not waste my money here ever again. Here's the best one. Quote, I am embarrassed for you just yelping Cheeseburger in Paradise. You're in Bloomington with a ton
Those
of
are
amazing
some
restaurants.
brutal reviews.
This is not one of them. Buffett's holding company sold off the Cheeseburger in Paradise chain in 2012 for $11 million. And $11 million is good money, but a billionaire it does not make. The restaurant business is a bad business. Costs are enormous. It's extremely labor intensive, which means you're going to have nonstop labor issues. It serves a fickle public that loves you one minute and despises you the next just because some trend flipped or somebody got sick after eating your food and they posted a viral video about it.
I thought, oh damn, that third round was over fast. I thought that maybe by going aggro, I could just get him to 0 before he had a chance to heal, and it almost worked. I was 1 hit away. That was a brutal kill he got on me, like he overkilled me. I really thought I'd get him that time. Okay, let's try number 4. I'm not gonna get distracted this time. I'm gonna go straight there. I did get my souls back, didn't I? I don't remember. I hope I did.
Even though actual food epidemiologists will tell you that it's almost never your most recent meal that made you sick, because foodborne infections have incubation periods of days or weeks or even months. The restaurant business is terrible. Why do some of the world's most successful people keep trying it? Guys, it's time for some game theory. I think we can game this
thank
out
God.
together
I
without focusing
did
too much on any
get them
one
back.
specific real-world case. Though we will get back to Jimmy Buffett by the end, and we will talk about how he died a billionaire. Reason number 1 why celebrities invest in restaurants. Because they need to invest in something, and restaurants are what they know. There is not a perfect positive correlation between wealth and fame, but the correlation exists nonetheless, and if you are famous, you generally have to be real stupid or real reckless to not also be rich. Quite a few celebrities are stupid and or reckless, but not all of them are. A lot of them have a lot of money. And because inflation exists, money that isn't making money is losing money. So, you have
those trolls have hoods. That's kind of cool. Yeah, may agree. Oh, he's got the frenzied flame. That's pretty awesome. We have enough souls to level up. Should probably do that before we die. That is so cool. I'm trying to bait him out. Can you come this way, please? Like come. Uh oh. Okay. What a range on that attack. This must be one of those frenzied flame places that I've heard all about. Alright. Yeah, he's not that hard. Uh-oh. Okay, I was afraid that would be an AoE explosion. That's so cool. Menace! No drops. No drops. Alright. That one wasn't too bad. This one shouldn't be too bad. Nice. Yep, just kind of hit him in the legs twice with a heavy attack and they go down. I don't think I want you to use that attack. Nice. Oh, hello. Yeah, I don't really feel like fighting a bunch of people right now. Especially the ones that can do that. Oh, nice. They don't have very much health. Oh my god, I'm right in the blast. Right in the blast radius. This area gives a lot of souls per enemy. Yellowf Alex Ruins. Cool. Very cool. What was that sound? Uh-oh. I think I might have aggroed the troll. Nope. Oh, there's a troll inside the fort. It's kind of too cramped in here to do proper critical attacks. But we did it. Nice. Can't believe I missed all those. Alright, I think that might be the last troll. Oh my god, that attack was crazy. I didn't expect to see these guys here. This is like a whole different moveset. I haven't seen this before at all. Okay, so there's like a mage and a warrior. Not too much health. Oh yeah, I'm out of focus points. Let's fix that. What is he holding? The skull? Is this racist?
Have to invest. The smartest thing is probably to just turn your money over to a firm that will spread your savings thinly across a million different companies you've never heard of. But you may be tempted to do the dumb thing, which is to dump a whole lot of your money into a single business that you happen to like. And celebrities like restaurants. I mean, everybody likes restaurants, but celebrities can afford to go to them much more frequently. And if they're the kind of celebrity that actually enjoys getting recognized and like shaking hands and feeling people whispering about you at every other table in the restaurant, well, then restaurants really are your happy place if you're that kind of person. Plus, if you're a celebrity, you think you know what makes a good restaurant because you eat out all the time and you've developed some strong feelings about what works and what doesn't. So you think you know how to run a restaurant. But this is, of course, an illusion, or a delusion, I guess you could say. Because, you know, 1 million frequent flyer miles do not entitle you to fly the jet. And there's a good reason for that. Using a service and providing a service are just two profoundly different things. But hey, Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel cook at home all the time. How different could it be running a restaurant? Narrator voice. Justin Timberlake's Southern Hospitality Barbecue on the Upper East Side closed in 2012, and Jessica Biel's All Fudge in West Hollywood closed in 2018, because that's what restaurants do. They close. But you're a celebrity, and you have money, and that money needs to go somewhere. And you mostly go to restaurants, so you figure your money can go to the restaurant with you. This leads us to reason number 2 why celebrities always own restaurants.
Another empty caravan.
Because they know a guy.
That's too bad.
Let's say that you're Ryan Gosling. You attend a lot of catered affairs because you're a fancy person living the good life, and as we've discussed previously, one of the most historically viable routes by which a working person could make a connection with a rich person is by performing domestic work, such as cooking. I quote now from the chef biography section of the website for Tagine Restaurant in Beverly Hills. Quote, "A catering opportunity in Hollywood put the chef's dishes in the company of many well-known celebrities, including a then-rising star, Ryan Gosling. A few empty plates later, Ryan inquired about the caterer, insisting it was food he would eat every day for the rest of his life. The two became instant friends, and after some time talking, they agreed that there was something missing in LA, the kind of place that made you feel warm and satisfied, a place where the food is made with love." Yes, I'm sure there's no other eating establishments in the greater Los Angeles area where the food is made with love. Anyway, this is a common story. Celebrity eats food, celebrity likes food, gets to talking with the chef, likes the chef. The celebrity says, "Hey, if you're ever looking for investors, let me know." And it's something the celebrity says after several glasses of wine. Mostly they say it just so they can feel like a big shot. But then the chef calls the next day and you're kinda committed. This is basically what happened between Robert De Niro and the great sushi chef Nobu Matsuhisa. Nobu was the hottest sushi restaurant in LA in the late 1980s. That place did a lot to popularize sushi in this country. Because like when your favorite movie and TV characters in the early 90s were talking about sushi all the time, it was because some of the producers and the actors and the screenwriters had been eating at Nobu. Roland Joffe, who had just directed Robert De Niro in The Mission, took the actor to Nobu around 1980.
Again, not allowed to use my horse. Am I getting invaded? Oh, come on. I do enjoy fighting a slower enemy. Those fast ones, they get me. Yeah, see? So much easier. The fast one with the range, much harder. All right, let's just explore to the western and northern side, the northwestern side. Oh, I did not see that Kaiden warrior there. It's a lot of health. He's using the same sword I am.
He ate, and presumably after a few glasses of sake, De Niro said, "Hey, if you ever want to open a place on the East Coast, let me know about it." And Nobu seems to be one of the few celebrity-funded restaurant empires that's actually successful. They have dozens of locations all over the world. In 2015, the Australian billionaire James Packer bought a 20% stake in the Nobu chain for $100 million. From that, we can reasonably extrapolate that the company as a whole is worth at least $1 billion. Not every celebrity is as lucky as De Niro was to run into a chef like Nobu. I bet for a lot of celebrities, the chef is just a guy they know. Probably from their youth, from back in the day, back in the old neighborhood. Everybody knew Joey made the best meatballs. Then Joey's friend becomes a movie star, and Joey says, "Hey, man, if I just had like 200 grand, I could start up the place of our dreams." And the dream typically becomes a nightmare as Joey puts the entire investment up his nose. I know a lot of people in the restaurant business, and here's something that people in ownership always say. They say, you gotta be there. Someone with an ownership stake, some kind of like sweat equity or otherwise, somebody with an ownership stake needs to be on premises most of the time. Elbows deep in the food, or elbows deep in the books, or even better, with the food and the books. The restaurant industry is one where your employees will rob you blind. It's a cash-heavy business, which makes it very easy for employees to skim a little here and there. It's a chaotic business, and remember that chaos is a ladder. The inventory is expensive and easily stolen via consumption. How you gonna prove that I ate that last filet, chef? You gonna cut my stomach open and examine its contents? I mean, I know you'd like to, but the Occupational Safety and Health Administration tends to frown on such management practices. Anyway, point is, it is very hard to run a profitable restaurant without being there. And celebrities do not want to be there. Can you blame them? Do you want to walk the red carpet tonight, or do you want to shuck oysters for some asshole to eat with ketchup on top? Celebrities start restaurants because they know a guy. And sometimes the guy is a member of the family. Sometimes you're Mark and Donnie Wahlberg, and you got 15 other brothers to feed, and they can't all be in the funky bunch, so you give some money to your brother Paul Wahlberg to open a restaurant. I have not watched any of the reality TV shows about Wahlburgers, but I imagine it does not show Paul Wahlberg sniffing the investment up his nose, because Wahlburgers is still around and still, apparently, successful. Wahlburgers, where you can eat the polar opposite of the food that Mark Wahlberg actually eats to stay ripped for the movies. It's amazing how far a celebrity endorsement can take a consumer-facing business, like a restaurant, which leads us to reason number 3, that celebrities all have restaurants, because celebrity endorsements work for certain kinds of businesses, like restaurants and other retail businesses that primarily serve the general public. Most businesses serve other businesses. The global business-to-business market is more than twice the size of the global business-to-consumer market, according to a number of market research firms. Just Google it. If I'm a paperclip company, and I'm looking for a new source of galvanized steel wire, I'm going to make that choice based upon the cost of the wire, its tensile strength, how reliable I think that company is going to be at getting me wire on a regular basis, etc., I'm probably not going to choose a galvanized wire distributor on the basis that it is attached to Marky Mark's brother. In contrast, if I'm bumming the streets of Boston and I want a burger for lunch, I have so many options. There's Tasty Burger. There's Boston Burger Company. There used to be 4 Burgers and U-Burger, which were my favorite burger places back when I lived in Boston, even though I could never figure out if it was supposed to be pronounced U-Burger, as in like a burger for you, or U-Burger, a portmanteau of Uber and burger, meaning the best burger. Those places closed because closing is what restaurants do, but there's still a million amazing burger places in a town like Boston. How to choose? Well, there's a step-by-step decision-making process that Donnie Wahlberg can guide you through. Step 1, we can have lots of fun. Step 2, dude, there's so much we can do. Step 3, it's just you and me. Step 4. Consider whether you feel a tribal connection with the owners of this establishment, tenuous or illusory as that tribal connection may be. It's a great song. The Wahlberg Brood is an inspiration to every other overpopulated working-class Irish Catholic household in the triple-decker multi-family homes of Dorchester. So, if I'm also a Bruins fan who's never at the job site without a Dunky's coffee in his gloved hand, yeah, I'm gonna go to the Wahlberg place for lunch instead of U-Burger. Or U-Burger, or whatever it was. It's gone. But Wahlburger is still there, because celebrity endorsements work to some extent for consumer-facing businesses. Business-to-business arrangements are often much more profitable and stable. Celebrities might make a lot more money investing in B2B firms, business-to-business, but a celebrity's name isn't going to be very helpful in that situation, and their name is generally the most valuable thing that any celebrity owns. That said, celebrities probably are invested in all kinds of B2B firms that we don't even know about. Helen Mirren probably doesn't talk very much about all the strip malls that she owns in Scottsdale or whatever, because there's no reason for her to talk about that. A retailer is not going to choose its location in a strip mall based on the fact that Helen Mirren owns this one. In contrast, when a celebrity owns a restaurant, they can dramatically improve business by shouting, "Come to my restaurant" from the rooftops, while the fine print underneath reads, Mr. Wahlberg is not guaranteed to be on site during your visit. But sometimes the celebrity really is hanging out in the dining room, frequently, and this leads us to reason number 4 celebrities all own restaurants. They want clubhouses. As a mildly internet famous person, I can tell you that fame feels awful. Having lots of people know things about you while you know nothing about them is a very destabilizing, disorienting feeling. It makes you feel very vulnerable and exposed. It's like being naked under a spotlight in an otherwise darkened hall. Fame is only good in the sense that what I'm doing right now beats, actually working for a living. The only part of my personality that actually likes being famous is the part of my personality that has narcissistic tendencies. I have a little bit of that in me, and that little voice in my head loves being famous. Now, the other, much bigger, much louder voices in my head tend to shout down the little voice that loves being famous, but I have to admit that that little voice does remain. I reckon that other famous people are much less conflicted about fame because they're straight up narcissists or sociopaths or something. Personality disorders abound in Hollywood and in Washington because only people with a pathological need for attention actually like being famous, which is why pretty much only terrible...
Oh my god, what is that? I don't like that. That's terrifying. Oh my god, there's another one. Okay, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore. Oh. They were summons. It's getting kind of foggy in here again. Yeah, I did not enjoy that. I can hear them coming back.
I'm still on the side and actually like being famous, which is why pretty much only terrible people want to run for major political office. I'm still on the side of democracy, but this is a really bad problem inherent to representative democracy, especially in the age of mass media. If you have a hereditary monarchy, at least you get rulers with an array of different personality types. But if you elect your ruler, you pretty much only get one kind of guy. And fuck that guy. I am so tired of that guy. Anyway. Lots of celebrities get to be celebrities because they are people pleasers. They love to schmooze. How many Yiddish words are we up to in today's episode yet? Celebrities love to schmooze. And if they open up their own restaurant, they can schmooze every night if they want to. I'm sure it's awesome. You get to walk in there like you own the place, because you do. Everybody from the bartender to the general manager works for you, and therefore they all have every motivation to kiss your ass and to save you the good seat. Anyway, celebrities tend to be narcissistic, or at least highly extroverted. That's how they got to be celebrities, and one reason that they might own a restaurant is so that it can be their clubhouse, their hangout, where they entertain all their friends. And when there are no Hollywood friends available to entertain, well, you can just saunter into your restaurant and hang out with the normals as if you own the place, because you do. And you can order rounds of drinks on the house because you are the house, etc. Even if your star is fading, there's still one place you can go where everybody knows your name. Indeed, the TV show Cheers is all about a washed-up baseball player in Boston who opens up a bar where the only 12 Red Sox fans who still remember him fondly will come and buy a beer and make him feel like he's a somebody. It remains not a great business to be in, money-wise, which leads us to the fifth and final reason why celebrities all own restaurants. They don't. Often, they only seem to own a restaurant, but in fact, they're actually in a much better business. Think, for example, how does a YouTuber of all things suddenly own a burger chain across 300 cities overnight? That's what Mr. Beast did. Jimmy, the other Jimmy we're going to talk about today. For my fellow olds out there who might not know, the current king of YouTube is 25-year-old Jimmy Donaldson of Greenville, North Carolina, known as Mr. Beast. He's most famous for staging elaborate stunts where he gives away obscene amounts of his obscene YouTube money. I have 2 million YouTube subscribers, and I will probably never work a real job ever again in my life. Mr. Beast is 100 times my size. Because he is legitimately much more popular, but also because he's an ambitious and energetic young man, unlike myself, hence his entrepreneurialism. Hence, Mr. Beast Burger. I remember one of my kids telling me like a year or two ago, "Hey Daddy, Mr. Beast just started a burger restaurant, and I want a Mr. Beast burger tonight."
Damn.
But you don't
That's
eat burgers.
tough.
You're like the one child in this entire universe who won't eat burgers or pizza. But I'll try a Mr. Beast burger. I mean, if you'll actually try it, I'll buy you pretty much anything to eat. But if Mr. Beast just opened a new restaurant, I doubt that it's in Knoxville, Tennessee. Oh, wait, it is? How is that possible? It was possible because Mr. Beast didn't actually have a restaurant in Knoxville or anywhere else for that matter. If we had ordered Mr. Beast delivery that night, our food would have been prepared in a ghost kitchen somewhere in Knoxville. A ghost kitchen is a kitchen that other businesses hire to make their food, and then to deliver that food under the hiring business's brand. A ghost kitchen can simply be excess or unused kitchen space that's in the back of like a normal brick and mortar restaurant, or it can be like a commercial commissary in an industrial park somewhere. The point is, you, the consumer, you put in an online order, somebody at the ghost kitchen prepares it, and then a DoorDasher or some such drives your food to your house. If you want to have a national restaurant chain tomorrow, all you have to do is hire Virtual Dining Concepts of Orlando, Florida, which maintains a vast network of ghost kitchens all over the United States. You give them some product specifications, some recipes, and they take care of the actual product and fulfillment and all of that. You just handle the marketing. What could go wrong? Well, do a Google image search for Mr. Beast Burger fail, and you'll see what could go wrong. There's burgers that are fully raw on the inside, burgers that arrive smashed into little bits, all kinds of unverifiable claims. A social media scandal need not have any basis in reality to be a scandal, but I have no trouble believing that quality control is nearly impossible in a ghost kitchen-based business. Think about how hard quality control is in like a nationwide chain where you own all the locations directly and all the employees work for you. That's hard enough. But now imagine a system where you own nothing and employ no one. Some guy with an app makes your burger, slaps your logo on it, and another guy with an app drives it to the customer. There is no opportunity for quality control on your part. Ghost kitchen-based businesses are everywhere now. It was a way for restaurants to try to make at least a little money with their kitchens back when their doors were closed because of COVID. Every town is Flavor Town now, thanks to Guy Fieri's new virtual restaurant. Guy works up the recipe, some rando in your town cooks it, and then someone has to walk it up the stairs to your apartment for whatever meager tip you can muster on the app. What could go wrong? Not surprisingly, Mr. Beast's business relationship with Virtual Dining Concepts has descended into litigation as of this writing. Lawsuit filed July 31st. The complaints from Jimmy's lawyers states, quote, "Because Virtual Dining Concepts was more focused on rapidly expanding the business as a way to pitch the virtual restaurant model to other celebrities for its own benefit, it was not focused on controlling the quality of Mr. Beast Burger customer experience and products." End quote. Jimmy Donaldson seems like a nice young man who is far more conscientious about his impact on the world than any of his peers, most of whom I gather are Paul brothers. I wish Mr. Beast no ill will. He seems like a good guy. I'm just saying, sometimes the reason it seems like every celebrity has a restaurant is because some of them don't have a restaurant. It only looks like they do. Which brings us back to the other Jimmy that we started with. Uncle Jimmy. RSVP Jimmy Buffett. The man who brought you such hits as "Why Don't We Get Drunk and Screw?" How did that guy die a billionaire this past week? Well, I could point out that he was a journalist originally. Jimmy Buffett wrote for Billboard before his singing career ever took off. Journalism is a pretty good foundation for lots of other more gainful careers, I have certainly found. I don't know if Jimmy Buffett was legit a talented man of business or if he was just lucky enough to associate himself with legit talented business people early on in his career. But he just seems to make like epically smart decision after epically smart decision. One being his choice to focus on licensing above other business models. Why bother making a product? Why bother sourcing raw materials? Why bother hiring armies of messy, needy humans to add value to these raw materials? Why bother selling these value-added products to a fickle public and dealing with their complaints? If you get into the licensing business, somebody else does all of that. All you do is sell them your name. You sell a license to a company that wants to make t-shirts with your face or your song title on it or whatever it is. That company does all the work and assumes all the risk. You just cash your licensing check. Looking at the late Jimmy Buffett's business empire, seems that he did a lot more than just license the title of Margaritaville. He seemed to create holding companies that retained at least some partial equity stake in the Margaritaville restaurant chain, for example, but he seems to have focused more on licensing his brand to others. Far less risk that way, and you don't have to be good at business beyond being smart enough to focus on licensing. Lots of people much smarter and better informed than me have written deep dives into Donald Trump's business empire. I have read a number of those pieces through the years, even from before Trump was a politician. Trump has so many failed businesses in his wake that it's easy to lose count. Probably his most famous failure was the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. As wise people have pointed out before me, you have to be a special kind of idiot to lose money in the casino business. Trump's company used to build and occasionally manage properties itself. But in more recent years, Trump has focused more on licensing his name and image to other businesses because licensing requires no talent or intelligence whatsoever, save for the intelligence that it took to notice that licensing is the better business to get into. It's great work if you can get it. Licensing is. All you have to do is get really famous. People who have actually looked at the Trump organization in detail have observed that for decades now, it has chiefly existed as a shitty lifestyle brand. It's what poor people imagine wealth to look like. That impression is what the Trump organization sells. They license Trump's name to other companies that run themselves into the ground instead of Trump having to run them into the ground personally, and thus his failures never seem to stick to him. Teflon Don, they used to call Trump, long before he ever got into politics. Or these other businesses used Trump's name to launder money. Allegedly. The Trump brand is a poor person's idea of wealth, which is great, except poor people don't really have a lot of money. So maybe you license Trump's name to slap on your hotel in Panama City or Azerbaijan or wherever, because stupid people expect a Trump-branded hotel is going to make a lot of money, and therefore you can launder your drug money, allegedly, through said hotel. Or your terrorism money, as in the case of that Azerbaijani Trump hotel, which Adam Davidson reported in The New Yorker, sure seemed like it was set up as a money laundering operation for Iran's Revolutionary Guard. Trump can, of course, deny all of it because, hey, it was just a licensing deal. I really wouldn't be surprised if some of the frozen margarita machine companies that Jimmy Buffett licensed his name to over the years were also money laundering operations, but no evidence to that effect is forthcoming. How did Jimmy Buffett die a billionaire? Probably because he met Warren Buffett. No relation, even though they called each other Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Jimmy. The two men had such a natural affinity for each other that they actually took a DNA test to find out if they're related. Turns out they're both 100% Dat Cash. I have no inside knowledge of Jimmy Buffett's affairs, now managed by his estate, but here's my guess. My educated guess is that Jimmy Buffett made himself a millionaire by writing goofy songs about rednecks on vacation. He made himself a multimillionaire investing those royalties into brick-and-mortar businesses and through licensing deals. Then he made himself a billionaire by investing his millions in Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's conglomerate holding company that invests primarily in what now? Real estate? Yeah, Berkshire Hathaway owns a whole lot of real estate and a whole lot of factories and 9% of Coca-Cola and 6% of Apple and all of that, but Berkshire Hathaway's primary business is insurance. Mostly car insurance, Geico, etc. So that's my bet about how Jimmy Buffett died a billionaire. My educated guess is that Jimmy was not a billionaire singer-songwriter or even a billionaire restaurateur. He was a billionaire insurance company investor. The insurance business, like the casino business, is one that only a special kind of idiot can mess up. Because the house always wins. Great work if you can get it. I'm quite glad to get this work, if you can call this work, whatever I just did into this microphone for the last 45 minutes or whatever it was. Remember, there's more to life than money. It's just it's tough to live a life without money, so make good choices. I'll talk to you next time.
That's embarrassing. I did not even realize that I killed it until it fell on me. I wonder if it'll still be dead when I go back. Probably not. Those souls are going to be hard to get. They better not be underneath there. Oh, thank God. Okay. It's a lot of souls. Alright. Oh, perfect. This is a good stopping point. I am going to level up intelligence. Oh, what's that? I'm so curious. I'm going to level up intelligence and then take a break. Maybe end stream. Not sure. Take a break and then decide whether to end stream. Nice. So let's... Oh, I never turned the music back on. That would have been fun. Let's call that good. And, oh, whoops. Okay. And, yeah, more music. And, I'll be right back. Oh, I love this song so much. Too bad it's so short. Yeah, so I thought about it, and I think it is time to end stream, but not before we talk to ChatGPT a little bit. I have some questions that I want to ask about Android, and hopefully that'll get me inspired to actually do some programming next time I see you. So, we just finagle with my settings for a second, vibe to the music, and yeah, 1 second. All right, we're finally ready to have a little chat with ChatGPT. Let me turn that music down a little bit. Not all the way though. Kind of like the music as a background track. Okay, we're going to ChatGPT. All right, we're ready to talk with ChatGPT. Basically, what I'm looking for out of this conversation is how do I get an application on Android to display over top of another application? I'm hoping that's something it can help me with. I'm gonna probably end up using a YouTube tutorial, but I just want to, get some inspiration. So let's see. Hello. Damn it, I just disconnected my whole keyboard. I don't even know what that was. Okay, is that right? Okay, cool, got it. Hello. I'm an Android application programmer. And I'm making an app that I'm making a personal assistant app. I'd like to, so far, all I have is a button which, when pressed, listens to the user. Wait, so far all I have is... Where is my jumping off point? Blank activity, which continuously listens for its wake command. Then if it hears the wake command, called Wigli. So far, all I have is a blank activity which continuously listens for its name. Hey Wigli, for the wake phrase. Hey Wigli. If it hears the wake command, it displays an image of the character Wigli and begins transcribing the user's voice to a text box below. My question, the next step is getting it to run in the background and then display on top of other apps. I know that this is possible because I have apps that can do this once granted the necessary permissions. Necessary permissions. Necessary permissions. Can you give me a brief overview of the Android, how to use the Android APK to display my activity on top of other apps? Once I have a broad understanding, we can get into the code. Thanks. All right, what do we got? Okay, GPT-4 says, absolutely. Let's start with the overview of the functionalities you wish to implement. Number 1, running in the background. You're looking to create a service that's continuously running in the background, listening for the Hey Wigli command, displaying over other apps. Once the wait command is detected, you want your app to appear on top of whatever else the user is doing. Okay, overview. For a background service, you want to use the foreground service. to ensure the continuous running of your app even when it's in the background. A foreground service displays a persistent notification which tells the user that your app is running. This is necessary due to Android's battery optimization features, which can kill background processes to save power. Use Android's speech recognizer in the service to keep listening for the wake command. Number 2, displaying over other apps. Use the System Alert Window permission. This permission allows your app to create windows that appear on top of all other apps. When the wake command is detected, you can launch an activity with a special theme or a window manager that lets your UI float over other apps. Okay, high-level implementation steps. Background service. Define the service in your Android manifest. Create a class called myForegroundService extending service, and in this service handles starting the voice recognition and listening for Hey Wigli. When the service is started, make it a foreground service with a notification. So using start foreground, notification ID, notification, and handle the result of the voice recognition to detect the wake command. Number 2, displaying over other apps, high-level implementation steps. Add the permission in Android manifests.xml. Uses permission Android. Name equals android.permission.system-alert-window. Create an activity that will display Wigli. For this activity in the Android manifest.xml, set its theme to theme.transparent or similar so it appears floating. Alternatively, use Window Manager in the service itself to add views over other apps. When Hey Wigli is detected, launch this activity or view. Ask for necessary permissions. On modern Android versions, both the foreground service notification and the system alert window permission require user consent. Ensure that you check and request these permissions at runtime. Once you've set up this basic structure, you can then refine it based on user experience and performance needs. Do note, however, that continuous listening can be heavy on battery usage. It might be a good idea to provide users with the option to toggle this feature or inform them about potential battery drain. Now, when you're ready, we can dive into the specific code details for each step. Okay, real quick, how do applications like Google Assistant handle constant listening? Do they drain battery the same amount as mine? What? They use a combination of hardware and software optimization to achieve low power, always listening modes. Basically, they use hardware assistants. Modern devices often have dedicated low power digital signal processors that listen for the wake word. This allows the main CPU to remain idle until the wake word is recognized. Once the digital signal processor detects the wake word, it wakes up the main CPU and the voice assistant takes over. This hardware-software collaboration makes the process very power efficient compared to an app that would use just the main CPU for constant listening. Software optimizations. Voice assistants, especially from big companies, have access to highly optimized algorithms for wake word detection. They've been refined over many iterations and large data sets. They might also employ machine learning models that are specifically optimized for on-device, low-power scenarios. Cloud processing. Once the wake word is recognized and the user's command follows, the processing is often offloaded to the cloud. The local device sends the audio to the cloud, which does the heavy lifting of processing and understanding the command, and then sends back the result. And selective listening. These systems aren't actually listening to conversations in a sense of understanding them. They're waiting for specific audio patterns, the wake word. This means they're not processing and analyzing all audio data constantly, which would be more power intensive. Your app, if implemented using standard Android APIs without hardware support, would likely consume more power than systems like Google Assistant. This is primarily due to relying on the device's main CPU for continuous processing, which isn't as power efficient as dedicated digital signal processors. If you're developing for a specific set of devices that have hardware support for always-on voice recognition, you could potentially leverage that hardware for more efficient listening. However, for a broad range of Android devices, it's challenging to achieve the same level of efficiency as native solutions like Google Assistant. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I'm probably going to end up saving this result and going back and editing this because I don't want to clog it up with this tangent. This sounds doable. Yeah, I don't care if it takes a lot of battery as long as I can get a working prototype. That sounds pretty cool. And who knows, maybe someday if it's functioning well enough, we could you pitch it to someone who does have access to those hardware optimizations, maybe a phone company itself. That's the dream. All right, we're gonna save that for later because it is 3 a.m. on the West Coast, and yeah, we're gonna stop it there. So yeah. Thanks for tuning in for a fantastic stream. We had a lot of fun in the consecrated snowfield, and we talked to ChatGPT about programming, which is the closest we've come to programming in months. Apologies for that. I've been crazy busy with work. I do miss our fun programming streams from last spring. I don't even know if I still have any of those up on the channel. I'll go back and go through those sometime and put up the ones that are worth leaving up. Anyway, that's gonna do it. Yeah, love you all very much, and have a good rest of your Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Yeah, bye.